Howdy, howdy, howdy. What is going on, y'all? Today is Friday, not Tuesday. I don't know why I got those confused. And it's back in biceps today, little shoulders. So, I think the plan is, as per usual, do some rowing, pull downs, the usual. And then, from then on, just kind of figure it out with the others. Because it's like, all you really need for 6 around to 8 total sets is 2 movements in a workout for each muscle group, right? 2 movements for back, 2 movements for biceps. I mean, not even for biceps, really. 2 movements for shoulders. All you really need is 2 movements. It's just, for me, sometimes I get in the mentality of I need to, do more of other things, but you really don't. So, if you feel like you're not doing enough with the gym because you're not having enough variety, you're more likely fine. As long as you're hitting, like for chest, 1 upper, 1 middle, kind of lowerish. Shoulders, 1 side, 1 rear. Maybe front delt if you want to. But that can coincide with side delts. For biceps, it's really just 1 movement. Honestly, triceps, a couple movements. 1 for the long head, 1 for the short head. And the other one, I gotta do more research on the tricep heads. I used to be more knowledgeable on the heads of the triceps, but I just haven't really, dug into it as much as I used to. For legs, it's, pick 1 movement for quads, 1 movement for, 2 movement for quads, 1 movement, honestly, for hamstrings, 1 movement for cat. Like, you don't need 4 different workouts, right? It's just, the one thing with working out is I'm not going to say it's boring, right? Because, obviously there's more fun days of, what you do than normal, right? If, I'd say chest is more fun than biceps, but biceps is more fun than calves, But what I'm trying to say is, the only reason a lot of times people put a lot of different movements is maybe to hit a smaller muscle group, like you want to specifically target your lower lats more compared to like your upper lats, or whatever not. But also a lot of it is just because it's a boredom thing too. It's like, I don't want to do 4 or 5 sets of the same exercise. I want to do 2 sets, maybe 3 sets of this, and then 1 or 2 sets of another, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It just really depends on, mainly get 1 or 2 solid movements that you enjoy to do and that you're hitting the approximate muscle that you want to hit, and then you kind of go on from there. Depending on your training scheme, because some guys don't do bodybuilding, like myself. Some guys want to work on explosiveness, so you can get power cleans and explosive pull-ups for a day, and then tibialis training. You have a bunch of different stuff. And I've thought about, instead of like a rest day, which rest days are super important, and sometimes for my schedule it just has to be that way, I've thought about like adding an extra day that's a fun day, which I've heard like some guy called it like Fun Friday. And mainly what it is, it's like training like the tibialis muscle and training like the stuff that you really don't train for a lot of times, like explosiveness and a lot. And that does sound really fun, honestly, just like doing more of those like functional kind of movements. Because also, like a lot of times, like nobody really trains Zercher squats, which I like Zercher squats. They just hurt so bad in your biceps. Like every time I do it, it feels like my biceps about to rip off the bone, dude. But I've heard whenever you like started doing like barbell back squats, that pain that you usually got right there, like on your like traps and your neck area, it hurt for a while. And a lot of people, some people use the pad, which I was a person who used the pussy pad for a while. But I've heard it's kind of like that, where you build padding right there on your bicep and stuff, and then you start not having pain anymore, but so I'm thinking about adding like Zercher squats every now and then, looking up the form, because I know how to do them, I'm pretty sure, but I just want to make sure accordingly that I'm doing it right. But I've heard some people do, I've seen some people do like Zercher squats on one leg, like the Bulgarian split squats, but instead of like a split squat where you're kind of having the barbell maybe over your back, or like you're holding dumbbells. They hold it in a Zercher squat form and they do it that way. But that's insane, man. That's insane. Like, I've seen some guy do it like with 315, I think, and it's like, what? You're doing a Zercher squat with 315, let alone on one leg. Are you kidding me? You're a beast. You're a beast, man. But, you know, in terms of my lifting today, I don't think I'm going to be doing any of those kind of unicorn crazy movements today. I think I might do some barbell rowing, though. That sounds kind of cool. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like that would be a good compound move for me, because I'd hit little legs, right? That's not my main focus today, so whatever. But also my lower back, that'd be cool. So I might do that. Do it in like the other area. You guys don't know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about though, but we'll figure it out. I might not. I might. We'll figure it out. I'll see you guys in a second. All right. So first we have is basically just a pick up weight and kind of throw it down movement, like the caveman style training. But it's a really good for the upper, kind of mid, everything back area, even for your forearms and biceps. But pick a moderately heavy weight. So I just chose 2 plates here. And yeah, that's really much it. You don't really need to control this too much. Now we have a movement for the lower lats, kind of just like lat in general movement, but mainly for the lower lats. We're going to be just getting the elbow as close as our side as we can to get more lat activation. And we're going to be training heavy with these, controlled on the way down to get a better stretch, and then squeeze as hard as you can by exploding on the way up. And I trained around the 6 to 10 rep range. I did 2 sets today. Now we're just making our back wider instead of thicker with the lat pull downs. This will give you that, like I said, that wider Dorito look to your back. Hopefully with if you have a bigger waist too, especially with doing shoulders as well, if you want that kind of smart looking waist, really more aesthetic pleasing look. But we're going to just be exploding and driving our elbows to the floor, going slow on the way up, training to failure. And I trained around 6 to 8 technique reps and then partials at the end. And I did 3 sets. Now we're going to be doing hammer curls. Pretty much we're just going to be doing across the body curls instead of straight forward in front of us. They hit more the long head, which is that peak of the bicep. And then we're going to be training around the 6 to 10 rep range. And I did 2 sets of this today. Control the weight up and on the way down. Now we're going to be training the preacher curl machine, just a really good machine to get the width of your biceps, but just an overall good bicep exercise. Make sure you're training moderately heavy, squeezing on the way up and holding it for a second, and then going really slow on the way down for the best stretch possible. We're going to be training around the 5-10 rep range, and I did 3 sets of this today. What up, y'all? What's going on? That's it for today's workout. Pretty good today, except for biceps. Didn't feel the best, right? I mean, it didn't feel horrible. Didn't feel the best though, because my hand. I don't know if I told you about this. I did yesterday in the last part, but I didn't like really explain how bad it is, because it still affected me. This one on my right hand's right there. This one is on my left hand right there, dude. I smacked my hand so hard, and I like couldn't hold. And honestly, it kind of gave me a better pump when I was holding it like this, doing the preacher curls like that. So I might just have to keep holding it like that from now on, doing low weight. But like, dude, it's very weird. I've never had. Okay, so I can't say biceps are horrible. They were actually okay, but I've never had pain on my hands like this before. And like, I was thinking, I smacked it, like it hurt a lot when I did it. Like I was like, whatever, not for like, the first, whenever it happened, And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be fine. It's going to get over. I'm just going to put, maybe ice it, maybe just put some biofreeze on it. Dude, it hurts like, I don't even know. I can't even say this on YouTube, but it hurts like a bee. Biatch. But, I'll get over it. It'll be probably just a couple more days and that it's going to be inflamed and shit. But you can like see like the circle spots, and it was a lot worse yesterday, but you can just see it's like super red right there. Yeah, just super swollen. But, it is what it is. I can't complain too much about it. Whatever. But that's it really for today's video. I don't even want to call these episodes because it's not like I'm on a TV show or nothing, but I mean, one thing you could take from this is even though you have injuries, you can get through them, right? Minor injuries, right? If they're major, like you tore your ACL and you're thinking you're going to train legs, you may have to change what you're thinking. Because an ACL tear compared to like your hand is swollen and hurting a lot because you smashed and kind of bruised the muscles in it or something, it's a little different. But, if you are a guy who thinks something minor is going to really affect you, like you didn't get your full 8 hours of sleep, and then you're like, man, I didn't get my full 8 hours of sleep. I can't do it today. I need a rest day. Come on, man. You're just willing and you want to take a rest day, right? I mean, I get it. Everyone needs a rest day. Everyone needs a mental day, But if every day you're like, if it doesn't go picture perfect for you, well, like Sam Sulek said, the workouts that are the worst are the ones that you missed. That's not hard to explain. So don't be the guy who's gonna skip out on everything because you have something not majorly, but something mild that you can just get through. It's just more mental rather than physical. This is more mental rather than major. And rather than physical. Yeah, it's physical, but like, I was able to do back just fine. I was able to do biceps for the most part just fine. I can't complain. I mean, I'm not going to do push-ups or anything for a little bit. But, I can do other things like, any other thing. So, and I'll just learn not to do it again. Somehow. Because I didn't record it and I don't really remember what happened. But I was like doing some reverse tricep push down. And I like smacked my hand so hard. I don't understand how I did that. I seriously don't. I really don't. And I don't understand how it hurts. But, whatever. You live and you learn. I'm just going to, tell myself, pain sucks. But some pain's good. Some pains are bad. Some pains are good. You need pains in your life. That's, pretty self-explanatory. If you have no pain in your life, you're not going to have any growth. Right? There's a reason why the gym hurts physically. They're micro tears. Same thing with characteristics about you. Let's say you're low on money. And, you grow up broke your whole life, right? You might be a person who wants to be more conservative on money or wants to just invest mainly, right? I don't have extremely bad money problems. I'm very fortunate in that aspect, right? There's circumstances where, I was working 2 jobs and everything, and, I had stuff I needed to pay for. But I've learned in my life that investing is so much better than just kind of keeping it saved. And that's not financial advice. Do whatever you want with your own money. If you want to go spend it on $10 million worth of lottery tickets and go to the casino and you can gamble it all away, sure, go ahead. I'm not going to tell you not to do that. I advise you probably not to, but I'm not your dad. I'm certainly not your mother. But my point is, you go through life getting these experiences and, it translates to characteristics that are part of you, which is pretty self-explanatory, I'm not going to act like I'm Einstein up here telling you the secret formula to life, But what I'm saying is, if whatever certain situation that you're in right now don't always view it as a bad thing. View it as a lesson. View it as a life trying to teach you a lesson. For me, God, since I believe in God and I'm a Christian, I believe God's trying to teach me a lesson and trying to get me stronger for something and trying to train me in a way to allow me to be able to get around these situations in a more circumstantial way because I've already been through them, right? If I've never, let's say this, if I was never a guy who, you know, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a scenario, right? Something with, you know, confrontation with people. Let's say I was never getting, you know, confronted, right? Never been pushed around or anything. And then suddenly I get pushed around. Well, for one, I'd either not know how to control my emotions at all, or two, not be able to defend myself at all, right? Not, you know, mentally, wordly, physically, you know, I would just kind of sucker down, right? Which that's not a good lifestyle. You don't want to sucker down, but you also don't want to, you know, break your emotions. You know, you need to be stoic. You need to be grounded. You need to be, you know, steady-minded. And I think that's one of the big things of life is people often don't have anything to cope with those feelings, right? They don't have the gym. They don't have another person in their life that they can talk to. You know, all these things accumulate to one big thing. And that's a lot of times, you know, kind of taking it out in a bad way, you know, coping in bad ways, you know. And even if maybe you don't have a ton of life experiences, I'd recommend at least reading some psychology because you'll learn stuff about yourself, right? And I think that's one of the coolest things. Personally, learning is like one of the coolest things in my opinion. But learning about yourself is one of the coolest things because it always kind of tweaked me out as a kid, being like, dude, everybody's different. Not even like look wise. I mean, a lot, like there's twins and some people look like each other because there's 8 billion plus people in this world, right? But characteristic wise and, you know, whatever wise, there's nobody that is 100% the exact same, which is so crazy because we've all been molded by these experiences. And you know, but you're only, you know, in life, you're only going to really meet, I think it says like 10,000 people, maybe more than that, I don't know, whatever the amount is, but there's 8 billion people. You're not even reaching like a percentage of the population, and there's so many people out there that you're going to meet. You might see people on, you know, the internet or, you know, whatever not, and then what's even crazier is you'll never know 100% to a T what the other person is like. You may know 95% of that person, but maybe they don't know that 5% of themselves. So how are you going to know it? You will never know anybody completely. Maybe yourself, maybe not even that, you know? Because as a 20-year-old, I didn't think I had it all figured out, but I thought I had a lot of myself figured out by 19. Dude, no. In 20, I'm like, okay, I know a little bit more about myself, but there's still so much I have to grasp. And that's, like I said, with life. So, just a little wisdom right there. But I gotta get on to work. I will see all you dudes in the next video. Peace.